right, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Off the Charts. This is a mini series hosted by me, Cha. I am the founder of the Cosmic Club. And this series really just seeks to dispel the myths that people have about wealth and around getting money. And if you haven't ever been exposed to concepts or ideas like this, I hope that you can learn something, pass it on, and just live your life in a different way. Now, this week particularly, we are continuing our limited series on this book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I'm not sure who was narrated by, but you can find it on Apple Music. To learn more about the Cosmic Club, you can visit us on Instagram at The Cosmic Club, or you can visit us online at ourcosmicclub.com, where you will see like the rest of the original series we have, like the Digital Dash. You'll learn more about Mindset Reset and just the people who are actually helping this movement go forward and freeing the minds of the people all around the world. So thank you for joining us today, or thank you for joining me if you will be watching this live or listening to the playback. But yeah, The Science of Getting Rich is a pretty amazing book. It was written in the 1900s and the early 1900s, I believe, and the ideas in it are just so simple. And it talks about how to actually achieve your goals, how to actually obtain wealth, how to get success by thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way. If you haven't had a chance to check out any of the rest of this series, chapter one is called The Right to Be Rich, which just lets you know that you actually have the right to be rich. Nobody is in charge of all of the money in the world except for God, and He's the only person who can decide if He's going to approve the check or not. And nine times out of 10, you just have to ask. Chapter two was telling you that there is a science to getting rich, just how there's a science to boiling water, just how there's a science to making eggs, right? You have to crack the egg before you can cook it. There's a certain way that you can do things that will help you get rich or attract the riches to you. Chapter three was about, it's called Is Opportunity Monopolized? And it's just saying that if you want to do something that's been done before, don't feel intimidated because it was done before. And if it was done for somebody else, it can be done for you as well. Because the same resources that they use to create it can be the same resources that you find to create it. A great example of this is people who start t-shirt companies. There are a lot of t-shirt companies out there, but there's always going to be somebody in the t-shirt printing business who would love to have a new client. There's always going to be somebody selling ink who will also love to have a new client. So the same way that opportunities were created for other people, you can do the same thing for yourself. And if you want to get even more creative, of course, you can start to hand stitch clothes and make them if you're a seamstress, which would, of course, is limitless opportunities once you actually unlock that part of creativity. If that's the route you were going to go. Chapter four was the first principle in the science of getting rich. And the first principle is to understand that everything comes from the same thought substance, right? So anything that you think is going to be impressed upon the ultimate thought substance, right? Which also known as God, and then is going to print out exactly what you think. The analogy that I used last week was like, imagine sending your thoughts to a master printer, and every single thing you think is going to get printed. And at the end of the day, at the end of the year, the end of the week, that thing is going to be published. So you want to make sure that you're only sending positive thoughts to that printer so that you can more closely get to the results that you want. Chapter five was called Increasing Life, and it was saying how all life just seeks to grow and express itself. That's why we have evolution. That is why plants grow towards the light. That is why businesses and entrepreneurs are constantly expanding, simply because things that are alive are just seeking to live more life, to grow more life, to experience more, to do more, to have more. So you just being a part of everything that's here, it's up to you to really do the same thing. Just strive for more, to get more out of your life because you can. How Riches Come to You was chapter six, and that talked about how the more you give, the more essentially you will receive. Because the whole purpose of this book is to get you more in line and get you more in harmony with God, so that the closer you get to expressing gratitude, the closer you get to just being more grateful, being thankful, the closer you get to understanding how things actually come to you and are provided to you, the more you'll want to live in that vibration of just gratitude, because that's how you actually get more. is to give more. It's by helping other people feel better. It's by offering your services or products or specialities or personality or kindness, whatever you have to offer to the world is only going to increase the vibration, especially if it's something positive. And then gratitude, of course, just being grateful. How we get stuff is literally through expressing gratitude. So you have to just consistently be thankful for everything. You may wake up and say, okay, I'm so grateful to be alive, but you can also be grateful for your sight. You can be grateful that your bones are working. You can be grateful that your feet work. You can be grateful that you still have you all your nerves are working. You could be grateful that you can still speak. You could be grateful for having clear thoughts. You could be grateful for not being committed to a psych ward. You could be grateful for good health. You could be grateful for not having a negative balance in your account. It's so many things that you could be grateful for, and when you start to just express gratitude for every little thing, you'll start to receive more because if we all come from the thought substance, what he calls in the book, if we all come from God, then he already knows what's going on with us. He already knows what we need. He already is going to provide it. You just have to be grateful for what you already have so he can say, okay, I'm being acknowledged. Like imagine somebody doing something for you all day, every day. They're doing something for you all day, every day. They're with you all day, every day, every second throughout the day, and you never stop to say thank you, or you never stop to actually think about what's going on. How is your life actually being powered? Like, how is your life being powered? How are things happening for you? How does it seem like you always get lucky? Why do you always tend to have the right amount of money in the nick of time, right? So if that's ever happened to you where you thought things wasn't going to work out, but right in the nick of time things worked out, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because that's exactly how the universe works, right? You created that desire in your mind, and thank you for the people that are dropping sevens in the chat. You created that desire in your mind that you really wanted that thing to happen. Like, despite anything, you created that desire in your mind. And as soon as you create the desire, right, as soon as you create the initial thought in your head, it automatically gets sent to the printer and you can't take it back. So if you thought something, all right, this is going to happen, right? You can't take it back. So it's very important that you do focus on positive thoughts only. It's very important that you focus on the outcome that you actually do want, because that's what you want to be printed, right? That's what you want to be printed. Those are the results that you want. So as we go into chapter 8, I really, really, really like this chapter because he simplifies everything in the book. And just with this book, you have to listen to things a couple of times, but I'm gonna break it down. We're gonna have a conversation about it, and we just really gonna see how you guys feel about chapter 8. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that for you all. If you can hear it clearly when it starts, just go ahead and drop some sevens in the chat. If I need to turn it up, drop some eights.
Chapter 8, Thinking in the Certain Way. Turn back to Chapter 6 and read again the story of the man who formed a mental image of his house, and you will get a fair idea of the initial step toward getting rich. You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. You must have it before you can give it. And many people fail to impress thinking substance because they have themselves only a vague and misty concept of the things they want to do, to have, or to become. It is not enough that you should have a general desire for wealth, to do good with. Everybody has that desire. It is not enough that you should have a wish to travel, see things, live more, etc. Everybody has those desires also. If you were going to send a wireless message to a friend, you would not send the letters of the alphabet in their order and let him construct a message for himself, nor would you take words at random from the dictionary. You would send a coherent sentence, one which meant something. When you try to impress your wants upon substance, remember that it must be done by a coherent statement. You must know what you want and be definite. You can never get rich or start the creative power into action by sending out unformed longings and vague desires. Go over your desires just as the man I have described went over his house. See just what you want and get a clear mental picture of it as you wish it to look when you get it. That clear mental picture you must have continually in your mind, as the sailor has in mind the port toward which he is sailing the ship. You must keep your face toward it all the time. You must no more lose sight of it than the steersman loses sight of the compass. It is not necessary to take exercises in concentration, nor to set apart special times for prayer and affirmation, nor to go into silence, nor to do occult stunts of any kind. Their things are well enough, but all you need is to know what you want and to want it badly enough so that it will stay in your thoughts. Spend as much of your leisure time as you can in contemplating your picture. But no one needs to take exercises to concentrate his mind on a thing which he really wants. It is the things you do not really care about which require effort to fix your attention upon them. And unless you really want to get rich so that the desire is strong enough to hold your thoughts directed to the purpose as the magnetic pole holds the needle of the compass, it will be hardly worthwhile for you to try to carry out the instructions given in this book. The methods herein set forth are for people whose desire for riches is strong enough to overcome mental laziness and the love of ease and make them work. The more clear and definite you make your picture then, and the more you dwell upon it, bringing out all its delightful details, the stronger your desire will be. And the stronger your desire, the easier it will be to hold your mind fixed upon the picture of what you want. Something more is necessary, however, than merely to see the picture clearly. If that is all you do, you are only a dreamer and will have little or no power for accomplishment. Behind your clear vision must be the purpose to realize it, to bring it out in tangible expression. And behind this purpose must be an invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours, that it is at hand and you have only to take possession of it. Live in the new house mentally until it takes form around you physically. In the mental realm, enter at once into full enjoyment of the things you want. See the things you want as if they were actually around you all the time. See yourself as owning and using them. Make use of them in imagination just as you will use them when they are your tangible possessions. Dwell upon your mental picture until it is clear and distinct, and then take the mental attitude of ownership toward everything in that picture. Take possession of it in mind in the full faith that it is actually yours. Hold to this mental ownership. Do not waver for an instant in the faith that it is real. And remember what was said in the preceding chapter about gratitude. Be as thankful for it all the time as you expect to be when it has taken form. The man who can sincerely thank God for the things which as yet he owns only in imagination has real faith. He will get rich. He will cause the creation of whatsoever he wants. You do not need to pray repeatedly for things you want. It is not necessary to tell God about it every day. Your part is to intelligently formulate your desire for the things which make for a larger life and to get these desires arranged into a coherent whole, and then to impress this whole desire upon the formless substance, which has the power and the will to bring you what you want. You do not make this impression by repeating strings of words. You make it by holding the vision with unshakable purpose to attain it, and with steadfast faith that you do attain it. The answer to prayer is not according to your faith while you are talking, but according to your faith while you are working. You cannot impress the mind of God by having a special Sabbath day set apart to tell him what you want, and forgetting him during the rest of the week. You cannot impress him by having special hours to go into your closet and pray, if you then dismiss the matter from your mind until the hour of prayer comes again. Oral prayer is well enough and has its effect, especially upon yourself, in clarifying your vision and strengthening your faith. But it is not your oral petitions which get you what you want. In order to get rich, you do not need a sweet hour of prayer. You need to pray without ceasing. And by prayer, I mean holding steadily to your vision with the purpose to cause its creation into solid form and the faith that you are doing so. Believe that ye shall receive them. The whole matter turns on receiving. Once you have clearly formed your vision, when you have formed it, it is well to make an oral statement addressing the Supreme in reverent prayer, and from that moment you must, in mind, receive what you ask for. Live in the new house, wear the fine clothes, ride in the automobile, go on the journey, and confidently plan for greater journeys. Think and speak of all things you have asked for in terms of actual present ownership. Imagine an environment and a financial condition exactly as you want them, and live all the time in that imaginary environment and financial condition. Mind, however, that you do not do this as a mere dreamer and castle builder. Hold to the faith that the imaginary is being realized, and to the purpose to realize it. Remember that it is faith and purpose in the use of the imagination which makes the difference between the scientist and the dreamer. And having learned this fact, it is here that you must learn the proper use of the will. Chapter 9. How to
All right. So that was amazing, as always, because he really be saying some deep stuff. Like I really listen to this a lot, and I listen to it the day of just so many times over and over because I'm just like, wow, I always hear something new. And I always hear something different when I listen to it. So you guys can start to drop your comments or what you thought about this chapter in the chat. And I will start to break down just some notes that I have and let you know what I think about this chapter as well. Um, so my biggest takeaway from this chapter is that you have to really get clear about what it is that you want. He said not only should you be able to hold the mental picture of it, but you should be able essentially to describe it in great detail of what it is that you want. Because if you want something so bad and you're paying attention to those little details and you're very specific about what you want, you have a better likelihood at getting the response that you're seeking. The example that he gave, which was so perfect because I just love simple and easy analogies, he said that if you were going to text your friend, right, you wouldn't just send them all of the alphabets and tell them to just make the message up yourself. You would send them a very clear message, and based off that message, you would get a clear response because they know exactly what they want to say back to you. So when you think about your relationship with God, when you think about your relationship with receiving, you have to understand that you have to be clear about what it is that you want. Last week we did talk about gratitude and how you do have to be extremely, extremely, extremely grateful for just every little thing that happens in your life because it's all powered by the same force. And we know that we don't have to financially pay back God, right? He's never asked us to pay him back with finances, but he has asked us to, like Spicy mentioned, pay him back with obedience, pay him back with respect, and pay him back with faith. And that's exactly what we have to do. Now, when it comes to actually thinking about what it is that you want, again, you just have to be clear, right? Now, I know that one of my desires is to live in a penthouse, right? I want to live in a penthouse because it's quiet. I've always lived around noisy neighbors. And since I've been practicing this every single day, like when I'm not thinking about anything else or I'm always thinking about something, I try to spend time thinking about my penthouse in grave detail. I know what type of candle I want it to smell like when I walk in the door. I know what type of things I want to have in my fridge. I know what the view looks like from 360. I know for sure that there are heated floors. I know what the elevator looks like. And I really just want to um, okay. See you later, Vanessa. Thank you for coming. But I really just want to continue to hold the image in my mind of exactly what it is that I want. And I have to be very detailed and I have to be very specific and I have to think about it. If I'm sending a text message to God, if I'm putting in an order for the universe, you're going to be specific, right? If you were going to order a birthday cake for somebody, you would let them know what colors you wanted. You would let them know how the letters should be. You would let them know how to spell the person's name. And you would expect to actually get that result when you went to pick up your cake, right? If you put in an order for something, do you expect that order to be returned to you the same way that it was given? If you pay for something and you put in an order, do you expect it to be returned to you? Drop some sevens in the chat if that's you, right? So we have to expect our goals. Let me drop some sevens as well, right? Let me drop some sevens as well. So it's like we have to think about the desires that we have the same exact way. Are you specific about what you want? A lot of people say, okay, I want to be rich. Okay, how rich do you want to be? Right? How much do you want to make a day? Right? How much do you want to make an hour? Right? For people who do not know, there is something called HFX, high frequency trading, which is the quickest way in the world that I've ever seen anybody make over $100 in about a minute. Right? So there are ways to do these things. You just have to first decide what it is that you want and then decide how specific it is you want to be because the more direct you are, the more likely you are to get the result that you want. If that makes sense, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? And he said you can't just have unformed longings and vague desires, right? Because then you are just a dreamer. Like I can sit here and be like, oh, this is what I want. 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 But if I don't seriously desire that thing in my heart, like if I'm not willing to shift my thoughts, shift my habits, shift my patterns, shift my vibration to get it. It's really like how bad do you really want this thing if you're not willing to shift everything about yourself to put yourself in the vibration with that thing. Because we know everything is energy. The car that you want is just a vibration, right? The place that you want to live is just a vibration. The body that you want to have, like you really just have to get into that vibration, get into a healthier vibration. You just have to shift and change things around and you'll be able to get the result that you want. But you have to first know what it is that you want, right? Some people go in to they'll have facial reconstruction surgery. They have to have an idea of what they want. They have to have reference pictures, right? They're just not going to let the doctor go in there and freestyle on their face, right? They have an idea of what they want. I always use the analogy of planning a vacation. If you want to go somewhere, you decide, okay, where you want to go. And then you decide what type of vibe you're trying to have, which is essentially going to influence how you're packing or preparing for that trip. If you know you plan to be at the beach, you're gonna want to bring bathing suits. If you know you plan to go hiking, you're gonna want to bring sneakers, right? You're not gonna take flip flops to go climb mountains, right? So once you decide what you want, you can prepare better and get closer to the result that you want. So I really hope that makes sense. Um, and he also mentioned that you really shouldn't take your mind off of it. Like I know we're all adults and we have a lot of things that are going on in our lives in general, but during the downtime when you're not actually focused on a task, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about your problems, right? Which is going to give them more room to manifest because um you're impressing that on God, so He's going to print it out for you. Or are you focusing on your desires in a reverent? That was a great word he used, in a reverent and meaningful way, right? Because we know that we can control our thoughts, right? We know that we can reprogram our minds to actually have more of the thoughts that we want to have come up more frequently. So once we program ourselves for the desires that we have, then those are going to be the constant thoughts that are playing over and over and over again in our mind. Hence, giving them a better chance to be produced because that's what we're thinking about all the time. This is what we really want, right? So we can't. Something you mentioned in the gratitude chapter was that you must only keep your mind focused on happiness and abundance and positive results, because the moment that you start thinking about inferior things is the moment that you become inferior, right? And I had to tell myself that the other day. I was like, am I really thinking these inferior thoughts? Am I really inferior? No. Right. So I had to really shift it and get myself back in the vibration of just gratitude. And I really got some positive results. Right. So it's not just about going there sometimes, it's about staying there, right? Because the house you want is not just going to fall out of the sky. The house you want is the materials that you need are already there. And if they're not there, the proper things are going to be put in place so that your house can be built. And if your house is built, right, you just have to move into it. You probably don't even know where that location is, but the simple fact that what you want already exists, you just have to pull it into your life and get into that vibration is amazing, right? And it's not easy, but it is very simple, right? Use your downtime to really get intimate with your desires. Think about what it would be like to take your key fob, right? If you want a luxury apartment like me, right? Think about what it would be like to take your key fob and beep and then actually get into your apartment, right? And then you know what it smells like, right? You know what's to the right of you, you know what's to the left of you, you know what it smells like, right? Think about what it would be like to actually get into your dream car. It just, right? Maybe it's the same thing because some cars have the key fobs. You get close enough to your car, the door unlocks, you get in, the seats adjust to you, right? And it's just beautiful. This is what you always wanted. But you're not just going to automatically be grateful once you have that thing. You're not just going to be like, oh my God, I got my dream car. I'm so happy now. You have to be happy in order to receive it, right? You have to be happy in order to receive it. Now, most people feel like they have to see to believe, right? A lot of people feel like they have to see to believe, right? That's why a lot of entrepreneurs struggle because people can't see their vision. But for true believers, we know that we have to believe to see, right? You don't have to see to believe, you have to believe to see. Because if you've ever manifested anything from your mind, right? If you've ever manifested a physical product, a physical idea, a physical event, right? Or service from your mind, right? Drop some sevens in the chat. And let me drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because if you can do that one time, then you can definitely do it again. It's just about knowing how to keep your mind on what it is that you actually want and not what you don't want. Because a lot of people just spend time focused on their problems, right? In their downtime, they're thinking about, okay, how can I find a solution to this? How can I find a solution to this? And something he said, oddly enough, is that you really spend more time. No, he said you spend more energy thinking about what you don't want than you do what you do want, because those thoughts should come naturally and easy to you. So you literally are taking time, and I know I've done this before. If you've ever taken time, right, taking time away from thinking about something positive and something that you actually want because you had to actually solve a problem, right, that ended up being resolved in your favor anyway, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? And I would drop some sevens as well. So thank you to the people who are sending messages and participating. So it's just really interesting how powerful our mind is. Like, I don't know how many times when I was younger I heard the quote that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and it really didn't make sense until I started to study this stuff. Right, your mind is so powerful and it's in control of every single aspect of your life. Right, Bob Proctor would draw his diagram. He would say, "This is your conscious mind, this is your subconscious mind, and this is your body." The things that you are funneling into your mind are going to be directly correlated to the results that you're getting into your life. So if you're constantly listening to music about people that are spending money, people who don't have money, people who are sad, people who are depressed, people who aren't happy, then you're going to take on those characteristics as well, right? You have to really think in a way that is in alignment with what you want, right? Listen to audiobooks like Think and Grow Rich. Listen to different teachers and mentors who speak about wealth and who actually have those results. Listen to people who have helped thousands of people just by shifting their mindset, right? And then you can be a catalyst for somebody else, teaching them something that they didn't know, right? Just by correcting your thinking, you're naturally going to correct your actions, and then you're naturally going to get better results. And in regards to wealth, first and foremost, I would say you have to have a wealth goal, right? Have how much money do you want to make a year, right? A lot of people think on a yearly basis, right? Or if you are a small business owner, right? Think about how much money you want to make a week and start to just keep that image in your mind when you're driving, thinking about it like, wow, it would be so nice to make $1,111 every single week, just deposit it, right? And don't think about how the money's going to come to you. Just think about holding that in my mind. I want $1,111, $1,111, and just start celebrating, right? Because he also said you don't have to continuously ask God for something. You don't have to keep asking over and over again. But after you ask for it, you just have to keep praying and basically praise it like it's already done. Like, if I want to make $1,111 every single week, I want that deposited every 7 days into my account. I don't know where it's coming from. In my downtime, I just need to be thinking. I need to check my phone and just start celebrating like I just got a deposit, right? I really need to, like, I just need to be celebrating. He said use the rest of your time to be start praying and be grateful for what you have already asked for. Because the more serious you are, the more you desire something, the faster it will come to you. Like, I've manifested small things, and there's some big things in my life that I'm still waiting for. But as I practice these concepts more and more, I just have more faith that exactly what I have in my heart, as I'm being thankful and being grateful every single day for these little things that are adding up to the bigger picture, is just, I just get excited about my goals. All right, if you guys get excited about your goals when you think about them, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? And if you don't have time to think about your goals, use that time that you're thinking about your problems. Like, instead of worrying, again, because we can choose our thoughts, instead of worrying, right? How about we just switch to praise, right? Instead of being like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? We've already prayed that it be resolved quickly and peacefully in our favor, right? That's been my prayer for this last week, that things are resolved quickly and peacefully in my favor, right? So I pray about it, and then I'm just like, I'm so happy and grateful that this was resolved in my favor. I'm so grateful that this was resolved in my favor. I'm happy that this is working out, right? Because again, if you can choose your thoughts, why think about anything else other than the result that you want? Right now, life does come up, and we do have to stop and think and handle situations because we can't be in control all the time. But if you find that you're spending most of your time thinking about things that are continuously not getting the results that you want, then it's time to shift your thinking. If you feel like most of your downtime is spent thinking about problems, Stop thinking about problems and let's just act as if the solution has already been delivered to you, right? I don't know how many of y'all have a testimony, but God saved my life so many times. I don't say it's only Wednesday. So many times this week, like so many times this week, it's just like it's just crazy for me to ever doubt that whatever is in my mind, whatever I want, is not going to come, right? Because I've just been so blessed. I've just been so protected. I've just been using the power of my mind to attract the things that I want. But something that I need to remind everybody and even remind myself is that we cannot only use this power in a case of emergency, right? This is not just something to be used in the case of emergencies. This is something to be used every single day on a daily basis. A lot of us have really big goals. Now, unless you hit the lottery, unless you have a really some really great investments out there, unless you rob a bank, right? There's no way that $1 million is just going to magically appear. But you should know that if you have the desire for $1 million, that it is on its way to you, right? It's on its way to you because you have that desire in your mind, right? Now you've probably been making a lot of money recently, right? And you probably haven't even been keeping up. But if you keep up with this pace, you're just not only going to show the universe that you are ready to attract money, but more money is going to come to you because you have the desire for $1 million and it's out there in the world already. Some people make $1 million a day doing OnlyFans, right? Some people make $1 million a day selling illegal substances, right? So it's not that the $1 million is not out there. It's just that the $1 million that is destined to you and appointed to your name is just not in your account yet. It has not found its way to you. But the more you seek it and the more you search for it and the more you focus on it, then you have a higher likelihood at attracting that money into your life faster. So um, that's just something to be mindful of. That what you want is already out there, right? You want to build the dream home. Again, it may already be out there, and if it's not out there, the materials are out there. And if the materials are not out there, they're going to get the materials and they're going to order them and they're going to build your dream house, right? That's just how it works, right? Things can't really run out. They just want to keep being replenished as needed. So don't ever feel like what you're asking for is too much. $1 million is not a lot of money, right? And that's one of the affirmations on the Cosmic Club's Instagram. So yeah, if you just enjoy what you're hearing, right, and you're like, wow, this is some really interesting stuff, right? You're learning something, or if this is a refresher, you definitely want to make sure you are following the Cosmic Club on Instagram because we post a lot of entrepreneurial content, a lot of things that really make you think differently. Something I've been saying more recently is just to break your routine, right? Break your routine and do something different because you never know where that could take your mind, and you never really know where that can lead you. You just have to be willing to overcome mental laziness and comfortability because that's all it's about. Like, how many times have we been in situations where we have been our own worst enemy, right? And I can say that I have done that so many times where the only things that have stood in the way of my greatness and my success has been my own thoughts, right? But now that I've been shifting my thoughts, now that I've been studying different things, right? If I want to be wealthy, I'm going to study wealthy people. I've been doing different things, studying different things. I'm getting different results in my life. I'm able to shift my mood a lot quicker, right? I'm seeing results a lot faster. So just imagine how it's going to be if I continue on this path and I continue to become disciplined in this particular thing. Because this is not something that I was taught when I was younger, right? I would love to teach my children this. I can't wait to have kids, right? So that I can teach them these things at a younger age so that they can get more out of life, right? Starting younger. So I'm just now learning this. I'm just now practicing, but just like everything else, we do become more disciplined and we do get better at it, right? If you feel like your intuition has grown, right? If you feel like your magnetism has grown, your manifestation power has grown in the last, I don't know, I would say in the last year or so, even the last 30 days, just drop some sevens in the chat because it's getting real, right? The more you practice something, the better you get at it. And I can say I'm just excited about where I am. I'm excited about where I'm going. I'm excited for everybody who actually takes this knowledge and applies it to your life, right? Right? He said, make your picture clear and definite, right? And that's really the last thing that I'm going to say about this particular topic because you do have to communicate a message clearly in order to get a clear response. That was a very, very, very clear analogy, Like, and it was pretty funny too. Like, you just send somebody a bunch of letters and be like, guess what? It's like they're not going to be able to know. But if you send somebody a coherent message, hey, do you want to go to lunch today at 3? They can send you back a message. Yes, 3 o'clock is perfect, right? So now it makes sense. Now you guys are going to meet up for lunch at 3, right? It just makes sense to be clear and asking for what you want. Again, that's not something that we were taught. And a lot of us, if we did ask for what we wanted, we probably didn't. We weren't able to get it, right? Or we were told that it was too much, but nothing is too much for the same God that created the moon, the stars, the heavens, the earth, the oceans, right? Nothing is too much for the same God that created you, that created 8 billion people, that created all the oceans, that created everything on this planet, right? Nothing is too much. So get clear about what you want, right? Write it down. That's always going to be important. Hold the mental image of it whenever you have downtime. Just really think about what you want, because the more that you practice that, the more you're going to realize that even if you're not happy about it at first, even if you feel like it's a silly practice, even if you feel like, why am I even wasting my time thinking about this when I have a problem to think about? The more you think about it, the more you really going to start to get happy, and you just going to be like, ah, like, you know how you just look forward to something? Like, I know whenever I'm cooking and I have an event, I really look forward to that event and I get super excited. I know when I'm traveling with my friends, I get super excited. Like, I really think about that event, and it's just always massive and positive outcomes. So you just have to do the same exact thing when it comes to your financial goals, when it comes to your business goals. If you want to have 300 new customers in a year, right? That's essentially one new customer every single day. Then just write it down and it's going to start to happen and come to you. But you can't just say, I want new customers, I want new followers, I want new clients, I want new prospects. How many do you want? Right? How many do you want? Put your order in, right? You don't just go to a website and just be like, add to cart. And it's like, add what to cart? You have to decide what you want, put it in your cart, and then it's going to come to you. Right? Now the only difference between that and this is that we don't have the only difference between that is this is that we don't have a shipping date, a tracking date as to when these things are going to happen, but we do know that they are going to happen. So I believe that is actually all for today. I just wanted to touch on that chapter. This is chapter 8 in the book, The Science of Getting Rich. The version that we are using is directly on Apple Music and maybe on Spotify. Just type in The Science of Getting Rich. It's by Wallace D. Wattles. And we're just really talking about how to use your mind to attract what you want in your life, right? How to get rid of those negative thoughts that you were conditioned to believe, how to change what your parents taught you, how to change what you learned from elementary school friends, what you learned in high school, what you learned from past relationships, what you learned from TV. Like, if you were to shut out all those things, like, who would you be and what would you know, right? And if you can't really think of who you would be and what you would know without those things, then it's time to reset your internal programming, right? I highly encourage you guys to go over to YouTube and to watch the rest of the Off the Charts series, right? Because this is all that I talk about. This is all that I like to help people think about when it comes to money is, what are you thinking about when it comes to money, right? And if it's been negative and you're getting negative results, you have to change that, right? So you can find Off the Charts on YouTube. You can type in Off the Charts, the money mantra, and it should come right up and you'll be able to see previous episodes. This particular series, it's a limited series. We are taking a deep dive into this book. It is going to be available for purchase once we are actually done on Gumroad. So we have about 8 more weeks to go. It is a lot of great content so far. If you've missed any of the other episodes, just let me know if you would like to listen to them again. Again, my name is Cha Cha. I am the host of this here series, and it's been lovely talking to y'all today. I will see y'all next Wednesday at 2 o'clock p.m. And we will be talking about chapter 9, and it's called How to Use the Will. So that's all for today, guys. I will see y'all next week.